Now you just wait until it's used on the boss. It's gonna get crazy. Boom! A 630,000 damage. You need to be using it as often as you possibly can. Ladies and gentlemen, Flareon likes throwing tournaments at us that can be a little weird at times. They like making up funky rules. I remember one time there was a tournament that was for Spider where you had to use uncommon champions, and really the only one that makes sense is Armiger. So today what we are going to be doing is we are going to be looking at a tournament that they just released this morning for the Dragons dungeon, where you can only use epic champions. This actually favors early game players because epics are far more useful to them than the high-end accounts that are going to be using 3 newts and all kinds of other craziness. So today we're going to be looking at a very nice budget option to do for an all epic dragon team. So this is going to be the first episode in a 4-part series discussing every dungeon, so that way when these types of epic only tournaments come around, you're prepared. First up, we are going to have Deacon Armstrong on the squad. We've got a built-in Relentless, very powerful set for him, so that way he can go through his kit multiple times due to the baked-in extra turn on his A3 time compression. It will essentially decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 15%, as well as fill the turn meter of all allies by 15% before granting an extra turn, which falls right into the A2, which is an AoE drop defense, and a 2-time hitting A1 that drops leech, which is very nice for sustaining. Got a speed in all battles aura, got him awakened with commanding presence just to make sure that we are boosting up that aura as much as possible. We've got the boss killer himself, Geomancer, coming in with his A1 AoE decrease accuracy on a 40% chance. We've got his A2, which is a buff strip on target enemy, then attacks, steals all buffs instead if the target is under HP burn placed by this champion, will also decrease the cooldown of his A3 by 2 turns if the target is killed by this skill while under an HP burn placed by this champion. The HP burn comes on the A3, which steals the target's current turn meter and places HP burn and weaken on the target for 3 turns, 4 if you have him mastered with Master Hexer. On the passive, what makes him one of the best epics in the entire game, he will reduce the damage all allies receive by 15% and reflect it back to the target. That's why he is such a fantastic boss killer, because bosses often have AoE damage dealing skills, which means he is going to be reflecting a ton of damage back to the enemies. He reflects twice as much of his own damage received, as well as having a 30% chance of dealing an additional 3% of the target's max HP in damage. He's got HP in all battles by 25%. I've got him in Hero Soul. He would be far better served in Cruelty. Masteries, we actually have him mastered. I believe he will be the only epic mastered in this video today. We have him with War Master just to give him a little extra damage. We have him built in accuracy, a little bit of Slayer, some pinpoint, and a divine speed set, just making him as fast as possible. Up next on the squad, we have another boss killer, Royal Guard. We got him built in Savage, Impulse, and Pinpoint, just to give him speed, accuracy, and as much damage as we can. We do not have a relic on any of the champions in today's videos, just trying to make it that much more accessible, and I just don't have that many relics. On the A1, attacks one enemy, has a 65% chance of placing decreased defense. On the A2, we have an enemy max HP nuke on an AoE. This move will melt bosses, as we will see in today's video. On a 4-turn cooldown, but the damage is worth it. On the A3, 4 times at random attack, each hit has a 75% chance of placing decreased speed for 2 turns, and has a 75% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 25%. Very reliable. Also on a 4-turn cooldown, but it's fine. If we were to have him mastered, we would have Helm Smasher on him. The final member of the squad, Cryodon the Blue. You'll notice he is at level 50. That's fine. All we need is enough accuracy to place his freezes. He's built in accuracy, perception, and a little bit of pinpoint. On the A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 35% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. The A2 attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 65% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Excellent skill for crowd control. Even though it is only a 65% chance where it's hitting twice, you're going to be really consistent on placing those freezes. On the A3, places a increased speed in all allies for 2 turns, as well as filling the turn meter of of all allies by 15%. Very nice skill. And then on the passive, fills this champion's turn meter by 5% for each freeze debuff placed by this champion. We've got him 4-star awakened with cruelty. Wish it was more, but hey, better than nothing. If we were to master this champion, we would go with War Master. Fantastic champion. Probably going to be one of my next 60s once I've actually gotten some very big news taken care of on the channel. Interesting. He's got some frozen people on his belt. I never noticed that before. The art design in this game is fantastic. All right, guys, enough lollygagging about the champions. Let's jump into the dungeon and see what we've got. We're going to go to stage 20, which is the most efficient stage to farm for dragon tournaments, because this is also the cheapest dungeon stage that will give you exclusively 5 and 6 star gear. It's fantastic. So here's the squad. We got Deacon in the lead. Also on the squad, we are going to have the epic Ruella, built in double retaliation just because her A1 is that strong. She's also a good Fire Knight champ early on. On the A1, she's got a triple hitter. Each critical hit, when booked, has a 100% chance of stealing 5% of the target's turn meter, equaling a 15% turn meter steal on the A1. The A2, also a triple hitter. Each hit has a 70% chance of placing drop defense, weaken, and decrease speed for 2 turns. Excellent damage boosting skill. And then on the A3, fills the turn meter of all allies by 20% and places increased crit rate on all allies for 2 turns. Wish we had her booked, but that's okay that we don't. If we had her mastered, we'd be going with Giant Slayer in order to be getting as many enemy max HP procs as possible. So that's the squad. Here they are all lined up pretty in a row. And yeah, let's just go straight into it. No presets needed on this team, just straight damage. So we come in here, Deacon's the fastest, dropping the turn meter, dropping the defense. Geo gonna be doing damage, not as much as Royal Guard. Holy cow, guys, did you see that enemy max HP nuke? Now you just wait until it's used on the boss. It's gonna get crazy. Ruella putting up all those nice debuffs. Deacon cranks through his kit, so he will be turn meter controlling like a boss. It's not a fast team, but it is a very consistent and very effective team. Geo's going to be providing even more crowd control. The amount of turn meter that this team possesses between depleting the enemies and filling ally turn meter, you are not going to have to worry about fighting these waves at all. Boom. Royal Guard coming in and finishing them off. It's just a really nice, easy team. All of these are epics, so none of them are hard to acquire. You can see Cryodim putting in the work with the crowd control, basically giving you a free turn that you don't have to worry about on those enemies. Ruella going to keep them all debuffed. Now this is a bad affinity for Deacon and Ruella, but where they all have such quick and multi-hitting skills, it's not going to be as big of an issue. Coming in again with the enemy max HP damage. Enemy max HP, whoever invented that mechanic needs to have a medal for the Plarium devs, because enemy max HP damage is just obscene in its effectiveness. If you have a source of enemy max HP, you need to be using it as often as you possibly can. Man, I tell you what, Geo's A2 does a lot of damage. I think it's got like a 6 times multiplier on hellhades.com. I wouldn't recommend building Geo for damage, but you could definitely surprise some people in arena if you're feeling froggy. Alrighty. Now we're at the boss, which is actually a good thing that Royal Guard used his enemy max HP nuke when he did, because now he's going to take a couple turns to get back to it, which means that it's going to be ready for the boss's secret skill, which we really are going to need it for right here. So if things line up properly, he should drop the enemy max HP damage before the dragon takes another turn. Deacon getting that extra turn from the Relentless set, going immediately back through his entire kit. It's great. Looks like we are not going to get off the enemy max HP hit, so the dragon did get to use his secret skill and stun us, but we are still fine because nobody died, and now the dragon's just gonna cry. Boom. Without a crit, that just dealt 200,000 damage. I thought I had him crit capped. Apparently I did not. So it looks like we are going to lose this run due to some bad RNG. I don't really understand why. I did not have this problem, and I've ran this team a few times. But such is Raid Shadow Legends. I really don't understand what's going on here. I don't think that Deacon and Geo are going to duo this boss. Who knows? They might surprise me. I know this would be a lot easier if my champions were all maxed and mastered, but frankly, I have a lot of high priority champions, and I just don't have the resources to get to all of them at the moment. So we did lose that one. We're going to make a brief change, and I'll come at you when we get back to the boss. All right, guys, we are back at the boss. Going to try this again. This time we brought along Gorgrab. This is the epic version of Arbiter, essentially. So we're going to see, is he going to do it? Is Royal Guard going to hit him with it? No, hit him with a hamstring instead. Okay. Boom! A 630,000 damage nuke from that enemy max HP skill from Royal Guard coming in clutch, guys. Holy cow, that's a lot of damage. Always love to see that juicy damage. But yeah, Gorgrab is going to keep everybody healed up and revived if anybody dies, as well as providing increased attack, keeping our damage high. So definitely, if you can survive consistently, pop in another damage dealer or something like that, maybe an ally attacker to help speed it up. I know Farrakhan the Fat is an excellent option. Boom! 714,000 damage on that next enemy max HP hit, guys. Do not underestimate your Royal Guard. Geo sneakily coming in with just over 100,000 damage less than Royal Guard. Geo's damage is sneaky because it only happens when you receive damage. Do not sleep on your Geomancer. Do not sleep on your Royal Guard. I've been Corrodor. Stay tanky.